Time for a little coffee and tea. It's been a minute, but I'm coming to you with a little story time. It's serious if I'm coming to you. No makeup, bags. My eyes are inflamed from my allergies. My bags are heavier than usual. But I want to talk to you for a minute. Story time. Yesterday I was at the store, Dollar Tree specifically, and when I walked in, I saw this young man checking out. And he seemed to be having some difficulties, but I really wasn't paying much attention to it until I finished my shopping and I got in line and the young man was still there at the register. And apparently he had been there for such a time that several people got out of line and just walked out. So by the time I got up close enough to hear, he was counting his change. And apparently he didn't have enough for what he needed. So people are watching, and I'm listening. I said, so how much do you need? And I just, reached in my purse and gave a couple of dollars to the cashier, and, the change was his. But the point of it is this: what keeps me humble? What keeps me humble is I remember growing up with my mom, and when my mother was struggling, and there was times that she would send me and my sister to the store, and we might not have had enough money. And we're standing there in line counting the change to make sure we had enough money to get what we needed to get, or we're standing there with our mother, as she's counting out her change or whatever to get what she needed to do to provide for us. And I was reminded that, but before the grace of God, there go I. And what keeps me humble is the fact that I'm always mindful that there are people in need, because I was one of those people in need. I'm always mindful to see them. I'm always mindful, never think too highly of myself. So I remember as a child and as an adult, as an adolescent, I would be embarrassed by certain things like that. But I'm grateful for those experiences now, because it taught me to see into the person, because you don't know what their circumstances are, and it's not our place to judge. But it keeps me humble. And also another thing, yesterday I took my mother out to dinner. She's visiting. I took her out to dinner, and the young man, a Latino, I think Hispanic descent, was our waiter, Sergio. And I was very mindful, again, to be gracious. Not just because he's handling our food, but I know that that's a hard job. I've been a waitress. I've been a waitress, as a teenager, as a young adult. And I know it's a hard job, and some people are just mean. So that's another thing that keeps me humble. It keeps me humble because I remember what it was like to have to do those things. I remember what it was like for people to treat you like you were beneath them because you were a servant. It keeps me humble because I remember. And another thing, lastly, I was another Dollar Tree last week. If you haven't figured out, I like that store. It was just before Christmas. I think it was the 23rd. The line was long. And there was one cashier. And so, of course, people are in line grumbling. I can't believe they only have one person here, and it's just before Christmas. And I looked at that woman with her child. I was respectful, and I said, well, because people don't want to do these jobs. I said, and I'm grateful that she's here to do it, to check me out. So I think that's another thing that keeps me humble, is because I know that in as much as it's inconvenient at times, I don't want to do that. I've paid my dues, and I would do it if I had to. An honest day's work for an honest day's pay. But I'm mindful when I go out and people are serving me or checking me out, because at least they're showing up. At least they're there to do the job. And I want to caution you it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse because people are not wanting to do the jobs that we are complaining about the service. They don't. So unless we're prepared to do the jobs, we might want to pack our patients with us. And we might want to say an extra thank you and might want to be a little kinder because they showed up. They're willing to work and not steal from you. They're willing to work and not rob you and beat you over the head to take what you've worked for. So yesterday I treated that young man, Sergio, with the kindness that I would hope to be shown. I tipped him generously. Yesterday I was kind to give that person some help, and when I gave them the help at the counter, I walked on and did my business. I did for them what I would have hoped that someone would do for me. Be a blessing.